know that technically the NFL season isn't over. We still have the Super Bowl to be played, and that's fine. And I'm super excited about the Super Bowl. However, I just wanted to say there is a team that I am secretly watching and I think will make an impact next year. I still need to do my research. I still need to take some time to really dive into the team dynamics and the things that I think that I know about this team. But here's the thing. There are probably about 5 or 6 teams that I've watched pretty regularly during the season. Just because a lot of the teams, because they were in the AFC North, and some teams because of where I am geographically, and some teams just because I was actually curious and I saw something that popped to me. All AFC North teams, I watched them all year. That should come as no surprise as I'm a Steelers fan. But one team that I spent a ton of time watching this year that I actually think is going to find a way to be good next year are the Atlanta Falcons. So here's the thing. I feel like last year they were so close to winning so many different things. Their coach did some things that I don't understand why he did half the things that he did, but he did them, whatever. But I think the Atlanta Falcons might be a sleeper team next year. I am going to come back and make a video and add more details about why I think the Atlanta Falcons will be a team to watch next year. But the funny thing is the head coach of that team actually got fired and is now the offensive coordinator of my Steelers, of course, because that's how the NFL works. Everyone's connected. But I think that the Falcons are going to be a sleeper team in the NFL. And one thing I've learned about the NFL is there's always a sleeper team. There's always a team that's kind of waiting or needing one thing or needing one moment or needing to do just some little bitty things to make the world of difference to their team. And I really think that this year or this next year, it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons. Some things just off the top of my head that I'm thinking about is go check some of the scores to the games that they had this year. They were really close to winning some games, and they were in a lot of games. Now, again, the head coach made a lot of weird decision making as far as who he's going to start, the play calling. There's a lot of like weird things happening in Atlanta, which whatever, we won't even get into that. However, if you go look at Atlanta's roster and if you look at their division and if you look at where they sit within the division, I really think they have a chance this year at being a sleeper team to make a run. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I do think they have the potential though to be in some talks and to be in spaces they weren't in last year. I personally think the Atlanta Falcons job was the best job that was available this offseason just because of where they sit. They don't have a quarterback, so that's a really big problem. However, if you look at the division in the NFC South, they don't really have a lot of quarterbacks either. And so the division to me is kind of up for grabs. And yes, somebody watching this will be like, well, Derek Carr in New Orleans. Like, okay, if you want to hang your hat on Derek Carr, go for it. You're more than welcome to do that. However, I think they have a star running back. They have some receivers. Like, they're a solid team. They're not terrible. They're not necessarily great, but they're also just not terrible. I feel like they're just kind of middle of the road. And I feel like with good coaching and a quarterback, I think they have a chance to maybe even win that division next year. Sounds crazy, I know, but just take some time and go look at the Atlanta Falcons. Here's the thing. They pick 8th this year in the NFL draft. That's not a bad place to be. They have a ton of cap space, so they can make some moves. If they got in a veteran quarterback and have some great draft picks, they might be really close to doing something that is kind of funny because a lot of people that I've told this to like think I'm crazy. But if you really just start to think about it, like I think Atlanta has a chance to make some moves, right? It's funny to me also. I know I started this video and I was like, I'm not going to get into it, but here I am getting into it. The other thing is too, is like, look at the NFC South. I mean, you have Tampa Bay, they made the playoffs this year, but I think they were like 9-8. And then you have the Carolina Panthers, which we saw what they did. And then you have the Falcons, of course, and then you have the Saints. And I think when you look at all of these different teams on paper, there's a lot of great things that the Falcons do that might actually surprise you. They're not the worst team by any measures, I don't think. They're not the best team by any measures. They're just kind of around the middle. And for me, the around the middle teams are always the teams that you kind of have to be careful because if they figure it out, it can make the world of difference. The other thing that's interesting with Atlanta is their quarterback this year was subpar. You could say below average, whatever. He didn't get the job done. If they bring in a quarterback, all of a sudden things look a little different. Now, I don't know if they will be as good as Tampa Bay's defense. I don't know if they can step up that far, but I do think that they have potential, and I do think that the Atlanta Falcons team is going to be a team to watch this year. I'm not a betting woman. I very rarely bet on anything. Like, my bets are like ridiculous, like the Steelers to make the playoffs or the Steelers to win the AFC North, because it's a simple bet, $20 or whatever. However, do a little bit of research. Pay attention to the Atlanta Falcons. Again, I'm not here to say they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not here telling you, they're going to be the best team in the NFL next year. What I am going to tell you is I believe the NFC North is a league of a lot of game managers at quarterback. That is my personal opinion. And that is no disrespect to Jalen Hurts, no disrespect to Brock Purdy, no disrespect to Dak Prescott. But I think that the NFC is full of game managers. To me, from what I've seen thus far, I haven't seen a single team in the NFC period that I think can single-handedly be the reason why their team wins games. I have seen that in the AFC North, or in the AFC period. Sorry, AFC North. You know how I feel about the AFC North. I have seen that in the AFC North. There are AFC North quarterbacks that I think can lead their team and be the reason their team wins games. The NFC is a different playing field. I don't think anybody really has a stellar quarterback. I don't think anybody is leaps and bounds above another team. And the difference between the Atlanta Falcons, I'm going to say it again, they're picking number 8. So they might be a quarterback away. They might be, who knows what's going to happen. But don't sleep on the Atlanta Falcons. I would take some time, if you're a football fan, if you're an NFL fan, in your spare time, just take some time to go look at the Atlanta Falcons. Tell me what you think about them in my comments. Let me know your thoughts. Just take some time, look at them objectively, look at the games that they lost, look at the scores of the games that they lost, and think about their schedule that's going to happen next year, and just sit and think about it. Sit and think about what you think of the Atlanta Falcons once you do a little bit of research. Now, some of you are going to see the headlines and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, she's lost it. I knew she didn't know anything about sports. Oh my gosh, she's so ridiculous. Just take some time, research the Atlanta Falcons, and let me know what you think. I could be wrong here, or some of you might look and you might see the same potential that I see, but I would be paying attention to the Atlanta Falcons next year. That's just my personal opinion.